Hi guys, my name is Ksenia Prince and welcome to Chowhound's You're Doing It All Wrong, the series where we take familiar dishes and show them just the little mistakes that you're making and how you can fix them to take them to the next level. And today we're tackling the grand old daddy of every culinary school graduate, the French omelet. So we're gonna start by preheating our pan to about medium-low. Err on the side of low because you really want to keep your eggs yellow and nice and quivery and gooey, and you don't want that browning on the outside. Now, the next mistake that you're probably making is how you're whisking your eggs. We're gonna start by cracking 3 eggs. You don't necessarily want to go more than 4, just because it's gonna be a little hard to manipulate. 3 eggs tends to be the best ratio for your omelet. Now we're going to whisk your eggs, and this is probably the second mistake that you're making, is that you're whisking your eggs wrong. Now, we want to whisk our eggs with a fork, not a whisk. The reason for that is that a whisk is going to get you the effect of a souffle, while as a fork gets enough air, but not too much air, so that your eggs are cohesive and homogeneous, but not too fluffy. So your eggs are whisked properly when there's no separation between the white and the yellow, and you get these little strings coming off your fork. Okay? Now, the next mistake you're probably making is the type of butter or oil you're using. If you are using butter from the fridge, that butter is just too cold. It doesn't melt right, and when it melts, it's gonna create burning spots. The heat is not gonna be evenly distributed. What we're using is ghee, which is clarified butter. Clarified butter is butter that has been melted and then cooled down already. So it's going to melt just right and distribute itself well throughout your pan. Okay? So then, with our pan sufficiently preheated and enough ghee in our pan, we're going to add our eggs. Okay? And again, you're not hearing a sizzle, which is good, because that means that your pan is not overly hot. Now we're gonna salt our eggs. Now you can salt the eggs in the bowl, or you can salt them in a pan. This is not necessarily a mistake, it's just an order of preference. If you forgot to add the eggs, you salt them in the pan. So now the next thing you're probably doing wrong is how you're actually cooking your omelet. The key to a French omelet is to keep that nice gooey center. So we want to approach it really like cooking scrambled eggs. We're going to start by scrambling the center, moving the pan and the spatula both at the same time. And then we're going to start seeing our sides set a little. We're going to go and just help them get in towards the middle. Now, you want to monitor your heat. You don't want it to be too hot. You don't want it to be too low, right? But remember, making an omelet is not a sprint. You really want to, it's better to go nice, low, slow, rather than run through it and then risk having your eggs burn. The next thing you're probably doing wrong is that you're not tapping your omelet. What this does is it breaks up some of the air bubbles that are created at the bottom where your eggs come into contact with the pan. And again, all you're doing is trying to prevent those brown spots that occur when eggs are burnt. We really want to keep a French omelet nice and yellow. Now, at this point, where we're seeing that the outside is becoming set, right? And our outside is set, but the inside is still quivery, that's when we're going to add our toppings. And we're going to use a mix of mozzarella and cheddar to kind of give us that cheesy, gooey stretchiness when we cut into the omelet. You don't have to, but they help give it that really cheesy inside. And the traditional way would obviously be to use either Comté or Gruyere, which is the Swiss alternative to Comté, but we're just going with what we have on hand, which is mozzarella and cheddar. You really kind of want both to give you the perfect stretchiness. And then for flavor, we're adding Parmesan. This is really why we also went low on our salt. At this point, our egg is a lot more set, and it's the perfect time to start rolling it. Now, if you're seeing that your eggs are sticking at all, you want to add a little bit more ghee, right, as you're going. So if your eggs are sticking at all, You kind of want to give it a bit of ghee to help it melt and help the eggs go loose from the pan. So, okay, good. Our eggs are perfectly set, and we're gonna start rolling it. And then we've done 3 rolls. That's the traditional French approach, 3 rolls. And at that point, it's ready to go into your plate. And you just plate it with your hand. At this point, we're gonna add a little bit more Parmesan because you can never have too much cheese. And it just helps, again, offset the salt. And the next topping is chives. It helps give a bit of bite to your omelet. So here it is, the perfect French omelet. Enjoy.